Not Too Late at 58, the podcast for those of a certain age who say, yes, why not? Hello and welcome to this podcast series called Not Too Late at 58. I'm Annie Weir and I turned a lifetime dream into a reality when I was 58, when I published my first novel. So I am living proof that it is not too late at 58, hence the name and hence my new passion to help other people of a certain age to achieve their ambitions and dreams. And you don't actually need to be 58, of course, and neither do you need to want to write a novel. And if you'd like to know a little bit more about me and Not Too Late at 58, just hop back to the first episode in this series. This episode is called Yes, You Are Fantastic. And today I want to want you to consider really the good things that have happened in your life. I'm guessing that you're listening because you have a dream that you want to realise while there is still time. So we're starting with D for dream, dealing with the past. And the last podcast in the series dealt with the bad bits of the past. So if you missed that, you can go back to episode 4. Sounds a bit doomy and gloomy, but it really isn't. Trust me on that one. So in this one, we're going to look at the good bits. So why take time to acknowledge the good stuff? Well, to highlight your strengths and your previous wins, to see the benefits of age and experience. After all, we've all been around for a while now. And to see which strengths you can use to realise your dream, the one that you've had for a while, and you want to realise while there is still time. And, of course, just to see how fantastic you are. So if you've listened to the other podcasts in the series by now, you'll have thought about some disappointing events from your past and accepted that where they belong is firmly in the past. You've thought about what advice you'd give someone else in a similar position and realised that there are other ways of dealing with or reacting to situations that you may have come across. You've thought about what advice you might have got from others about the events and whether or not you'd take that advice if it happened again. And maybe something surprised you while you were doing that and working through the exercise. And the first time I did that exercise, I realised that when people had absolute faith in my ability to do something, which they quite often do, I have no idea why, especially something I wasn't sure of, that was when I should have shouted up and said that I needed support or I needed training. I was always conscious of not letting anyone down and so sure that I could get through it all somehow. And looking back now, I'm surprised I didn't get ill with the worry of it all. But anyway, now, if I need help, I ask for it. And our Facebook group, Not Too Late at 58, is a great place to share experiences and also to realise that you're not alone. So you're very welcome to join the group on Facebook called Not Too Late at 58. So it's easy to let the bad stuff carry more weight than what went well, especially when you're planning something new. So this is why we're now getting on to the good stuff. Have you downloaded the timeline and the associated questions? This was part of episode 4, and there's an exercise to do. I'm wondering if you've done that yet. If not, you can find it on the hidden page on my website, which is www.not-late-58.com/podcast-free-stuff. And the address is on the podcast page here as well. So going back to the timeline, but this time focusing on the things that are above the line, the good things that have happened in your life, the things you remember because you felt great or you achieved something. And your highlights may have included things relating to education or learning a new skill. Maybe like graduating or passing your driving test. I did pass my driving test first time. That was one of my really big highs, but I got my first degree at aged 47. And actually a friend of mine achieved his PhD in his 90s, and he's the oldest person to do that at Lancaster University. The highlights in your life, on your timeline there, may be family related, like getting married or having children, or your children getting married and having children. They might be work related, such as getting the dream job or being offered promotion. Maybe you did something for someone else that gave you satisfaction, like maybe helping someone over a difficult time, or doing something for charity that really stretched you. I did the Race for Life one year, which raises money for breast cancer research. Running 5k nearly killed me, but I did it, and I did raise a lot of money. And now I just sponsor other people to do it. However, it was one of my highlights, getting it done. Perhaps you felt flattered that someone asked you to do something because they just knew you were the right person. Maybe a highlight was a fabulous holiday. Maybe you discovered a passion for scuba diving, or you just had such a really lovely, relaxing time that you realised that that's what you want to do more of. Or maybe actually it was a day that seemed doomed but turned out to be brilliant because you looked on the bright side and made it fun for everybody. Maybe you had a picnic on the floor of the sitting room rather than going out when the car broke down. Anyway, they're the sorts of things, and yours, may well be completely different to all of those. So before we move on to the next part, I would suggest that you go back to your timeline and see how many more highs you can think of. Go on, just a few more. And then we'll consider together what sort of strengths were brought to those situations. And I think it's really important to establish clearly in your mind which of your strengths contributed to your highlights. And by doing that, it will help you achieve your dream, because you'll be able to see where your strengths are and how they can help you along the way. So in the same way that I suggested for the negatives, if you list the peaks that you've noted on your timeline with a space between each one, and then ask yourself the questions, which are part of the download, but these are the questions, and maybe make a note in the answers where they appear to fit. They might not be appropriate to all of them. So what made you remember that incident, that time in particular? So try to think of it objectively. Was it the first time you did something? Was it a best time? Was it highest score or grade? Was it a mountain scaled, literally or metaphorically? And what knowledge did you bring to the situation? Now, it doesn't have to be knowledge that you studied to acquire. It may be something you learnt from your parents as you were growing up, sort of family wisdom. It might be something you learned, like first aid. Did your team win the pub quiz because you happen to know the answer to that last question? And what skill did you bring to the situation? Are you the one that can mend a bicycle puncture in the middle of nowhere? Can you sew Teddy's arm back on after it gets pulled off in a fight? Did your team win the league because you scored the winning goal, or set up the winning goal, or saved a goal? And what attitude did you bring to the situation? Were you upbeat despite potential disaster occurring? Were you able to stay calm when others around you were panicking? Are you the family or the workplace peacemaker? Are you the decision maker? Maybe you're the life and soul of the party. So which of your personality traits contributed to the times you remember as being good or making you feel good? And which of your strengths did you display or use? So don't be shy here. Don't say, "Oh, I haven't got any." What would your partner say if I asked them? What would your children or your boss or your employees or your friends say if I asked them which of your strengths you use in different situations? So you might need to take a little time to do this part of the exercise. And as with the negatives, you might find things that surprise you. There might be a recurring theme as to why these were all highlights in your past, and it might help you to see yourself in a different light. And I'd be delighted if you were to share any light bulb moments on our Not Too Late at 58 Facebook group. And by completing this exercise, you will be so much better able to banish those voices that creep into your head that say, oh, I could never do that, I haven't got time, or I'm useless at such a thing, or I tried it before and it didn't work, or worst of all, I'm too old now to start something new. So when those voices kick in, you can refer them straight back to your knowledge, straight back to your skills, your attitude, your personality. In other words, all the things that you brought to the situations that were really good. So you see, you are fantastic, so don't forget that. The next episode in this podcast series is about recognising where you are now, and that's the R in dream. Recognising where you are now is a good thing to do before you launch into something new. We'll build on the strengths with other aspects of ourselves that contribute to our success, and will help you to make those changes now while there is still time. So I'll see you here next time. Bye for now.